Let's roll, baby. Welcome into the Week 6 edition of Ringer Wise Guys right here on FanDuel TV. I'm John Jastremski. Let's welcome in the boys. We have Cousin Sal. We have Joe House from an undisclosed location. We have Raheem Palmer, all rocking, all cooking. And Sal, right now, I was belly aching in our digital hit about the Ravens not scoring a touchdown. They had me a lead. I feel good about that. Maybe I'm actually going to win a bet today.
Well, good for you, but not so good for me. I took the points. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was a toss-up. I was sick of the Ravens' performance last week, and so that's that. Another loser for me. But really, the tricky part this week is figuring out where Joe House is. I feel like I'm looking in the background. I see Larry Bird memorabilia. I think there's like a Varsity Blues DVD. Where in the world could you be, Joe House?
Cousin Sal, against all odds, I'm very close to you. The folks that run the show wouldn't let me sit in the same studio as you. They were worried about, having enough food for the two of us.
Smart. Yeah.
But I'm out here in La La Land, the city of lights, Los Angeles. You can't tell from any of the Boston memorabilia behind me, but I am in the Podfather lair, the Podfather estate. There might be some New England coming out of my content this week.
Wow. Oh, no. All right. I mean, I don't know how you're fitting in there either. He lives in like an 850 square foot apartment, but good for you.
It might be a tough spot. I just hope that the Podfather had the coffee and the bagels and the breakfast spread taken care of, House. Make sure he's putting it on the dime. I don't want you putting any loot on your pocket. No. We're not doing any of that. You got to be taken care of. Raheem, as we look to week 6, dude, a lot of rat lines. I know we'll get made a little bit later on in the show, but a whole lot of rats that I smell, my man.
Yeah, there's so many rats this week. You just got to navigate it. It is the NFL market, one of the toughest markets to beat in sports betting, but we're going to help you get there. So hopefully we pick some winners this week.
We have a lot going on this particular edition of Ringer Wise Guys like we do each and every Sunday. We will get made and identify that rat line of the week. We will have our wisest wagers where Joe House has just been red hot. Tate Frazier is going to join us for a guest pick. I love Tate Frazier. We got SGPs, which has been the only thing I've been able to contribute the last 2 weeks here on this particular show. And not only that, Danny Heifetz, fantasy football ringer extraordinaire, he is also going to join us. So, fellas, let's wisen up. Now, time for the Week 6 Wisen Up picks from the boys. Cousin Sal, let's start with you. What do you got, buddy?
All right, JJ. I did some research, and by that I mean like about 40 seconds online. But Week 6 is traditionally a weird week, and one of the big dogs goes down typically. And so I thought maybe it could be the 49ers or the Eagles, but there's injuries on both sides of the opponents there. Jets don't have any D-backs, and the Browns, the Deshaun Watson upset. So it's not going to be them. It's not the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure, because they already won Thursday. So the Bills are going to take care of business Sunday night. I am targeting the Lions to lose to the Bucs. Yes, an upset. Not only am I taking the 3 points, I think they win on the field there. Tampa, big surprise, 3-1, straight up and against the spread. They have a top 8 defense, Levante David, Devin White, Vita Vea, all these guys, and they blitz at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. Goff's rating drops 25 points when he's blitzed and pressured. Tampa Bay's a weird team, right? They took care of New Orleans before the bye, 26-9. I think the rest helps them here, and they pull off, and Baker pulls off a 2017 upset.
Sal, I absolutely love it, and I think you pointed out something that is super crucial in identifying and pinpointing the Detroit Lions in a nutshell. It sure seems like Jared Goff is a different quarterback, and the Lions are a different team when you take them out of that dome and when you take them out of Ford Field. And Sal, I understand you're not talking about bad weather down in Tampa. It is Florida, for goodness sakes. The only thing you're going to get is a thunderstorm. But that had to point at a handicap, right? The idea of getting Detroit here on the road against a team coming off a bye.
On the road, and field conditions could be about 90, 92 degrees. So I don't know who that helps, but it does take Lions out of their game plan for sure.
Totally on board, and we may have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tied into something a little bit later on in the show. All right, Dream, what do we got for our Wisen Up wager?
Let's go with the Rams Cardinals over 47.5. You're looking at two of the worst defenses in the league. You're looking at a Cardinals defense, which is 30th in defensive DVOA, despite playing the 23rd ranked schedule of opposing offenses. This is a team that gave up 31 points to the Giants. And when you look at their schedule, they gave up 31 points in 3 of their 5 games. One of those games was a game in which the Cowboys, they went 1-5 in the red zone. Otherwise, they would have scored more points. And in the Commanders, they scored 20 points despite going 0-2 in the red zone. So I expect Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and this Rams offense, which ranks top 10 in DVOA, they should be able to name their score and score whatever they want. And you look at the other side of the ball, the Rams don't have a good defense as well. They're 27 for defensive DVOA. They have the 9th worst EPA per play. So I expect the Cardinals to be able to keep up and name their score as well. I like the over 47.5.
I love this, Raheem. And you mentioned it with the Los Angeles Rams. It's a totally different breed and animal for them this week, getting the Arizona Cardinals as opposed to that ferocious defensive line that they saw from the Philadelphia Eagles a week ago. I am on board. I don't like playing a whole lot of totals. I'm adding this one to the portfolio. I like Rams and Cardinals as an over this week. All right. There's nobody hotter right now for Wisest Wager than our dude, Mr. California. He's going to be glowing by the end of the week. You're glowing all week with these picks, House. So what do we got for Wising Up?
Well, I'm not sure how to figure this one out. I'm looking at the Indianapolis Colts getting 3.5 as of this morning at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And sharp money has been plowing into the Colts all week long. This line opened up at 5.5 Sunday night. It was 5 on Monday, immediately pounded down to 4.5. And we wake up this morning, it's at 3.5. And I think a big part of it is this unprecedented situation with the Jacksonville Jaguars coming back from 2 weeks in London. Nobody's ever done a 2-week stint abroad. So we don't know exactly how to measure this up. But the real compelling thing to me, and I think part of the reason why all of the action has been on the Colts, is that these teams are pretty equal. I mean, the Jags beat the Colts in week 1 by 10 points, but it was a misleading outcome. There were turnovers and turnover on downs inside the red zone by the Colts in that week 1. So the Colts here, I like the opportunity for them getting more than a field goal. 3.5, I'm still willing to roll with. I loved it at 4.5. I still like it at 3.5. Gardner Minshew, on a basis of EPA and CPOE, completed percentage over expectation, better than Trevor Lawrence so far this season. So I'm fine with riding with my guy Minshew in this instance. The offensive line for the Colts is great. I think the Colts are going to hang in this game. Anything more than a field goal, I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, can I just jump in here? Congratulations, House. You're going to win another one because I hate this bet. I just feel like they have to separate themselves at some point, the Jaguars, from the rest of this division. And I know what you're saying about Minshew, but that leads to my point even more. I mean, he's completing like 69% of his passes. When does Gardner Minshew go away? And where do the Colts go away until Anthony Richardson comes back? Well, I think it's going to be soon. Jacksonville has forced 11 turnovers in their game. That's second in the league. Look for Minshew to cough it up. Maybe even Jonathan Taylor, who hasn't played at all, to cough it up early on. But either way, you win. So good job.
I want to jump in as well. You know, the last time the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville was September 21st, 2014. They won 44-17 against with Andrew Luck as quarterback. So, you know, like, Jacksonville has been a house of horrors for the Indianapolis Colts. So at 3.5, I would be a little shook at this one.
Yeah, House of Horrors. That's Joe's name. Yeah.
I understand all of it. House of Horrors also, fellas, we're bringing it back. House of Carbs. Why wouldn't we? Look, I understand all of the reasons why. To be careful here. I also remind everybody, Trevor Lawrence is a favorite, not very good. 3-7 against the spread, 0-5 against the spread when the line is 4 or more. Now, all week long, it was 4 or more. Now it's dropped between below 3.5. Maybe this is one where they flip the script a little bit, but I still like the Colts. I think this is a dead even matchup. I wouldn't bet on this if it was 2.5, but at 3.5, I'm fine with it.
Alex, I got your back, buddy, on this one. I love Indianapolis in this spot. You mentioned it. This idea that Jacksonville plays back-to-back London games. They don't take their bye week. Now they got to play. I understand, Sal. Jacksonville's the team to beat in this division. They're the most complete team, but you got them coming off a monstrous win, flying back from across the pond. And the Colts, let's be honest, there has not been much of a drop-off between Richardson and Minshew, and they have been very spunky with Shane Steichen. I am on the Colts plus 3.5. I think it's a wise wager house, and it's got my endorsement.
Well,
Now,
let me just say this. Trevor Lawrence is very much cultured now, more than he was 2 weeks ago. He actually throws with his pinky up and out, and so you're going to see a whole different ball game out of the Jacksonville offense.
well, Sal, is he going to be playing with no shoes on like McCartney at Abbey Road? I don't know. That might work
Probably,
for him.
yeah.
That might be the
Before
move for Trevor Lawrence, who is now, of course, Mr. London. All right, boys. Now it's time for my Wising Up wager, and this is near and dear to our buddy Joe House, because what I am going to do is I'm going to back a team that looked as bad as can be for the whole nation to see, losing to one of the worst teams in the NFL. Everybody's perception on the Washington Commanders is they stink. They just lost the game to the Chicago Bears. How in the world can you back Washington on the road against the Atlanta Falcons? Well, the market is clearly moving in my favor. This line opened at 3.5 for the Atlanta Falcons. It is now down to 1.5 right now as we speak. And I just think you're getting Washington in a good situation. Extra time to prepare. I think Bieniemy throws a couple of wrinkles into the offense. And simply put, I don't trust Desmond Ridder. I don't trust him. I don't believe in him enough to say with consistency, I'm going to go against all this sharp action. No. There's a reason why this line has moved the way that it has. 2 points. Public tickets coming in on the Falcons. Comes down 2 points. This is another one of those rats. There are a whole lot of rats here in week 6, but I'm going to make one of mine for the wisest wager, fellas. Raheem, the Commanders, plus 1.5, baby.
So I like this at plus 2.5, but at 1.5, I'm a little shook of this. I think one thing that we've seen from the Atlanta Falcons is that if you play their games, they're typically 1 to 2 point games. So you go back to that Green Bay Packers game. They won that game by 1 point. If you grab the earlier number with the Falcons, you covered. If you grab the later number with the Falcons, you lost. Let's go back to last week with the Houston Texans. It was the same thing. They won by 1 point. So you have to really focus on the numbers because they really mean something. 2.5 to 1.5. It might not seem like it's a huge difference, but I mean, in these Atlanta Falcons games where you have the Falcons kicking field goals, where you have Desmond Ridder not really being able to separate, these are closer games, and 1 feels like a key number in those matchups.
Yeah, I agree with Raheem. By the way, I like looking at preseason lines and what this would have been. And based on their win total expectation, I think the Falcons were supposed to win like 8.5, right in there. And Washington was not nearly that high. And the Falcons being home, I don't know, you would think this line would be 3.5, somewhere in there. So the suspicion is on your corner there, JJ, although you might not be getting as many points as you should be.
Well, listen, I understand your point, Raheem. Sal, I totally get it. I think the Washington Commanders are winning this game, and Joe House is going to be very, very happy watching Sam Howell and company do his thing. All right, boys, let's take a look across the pond and see what's going on in London between the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. It is 18-3 Baltimore early in the third quarter. Remember, this was a line that was at 5.5, and it was weird. House, the Titans are one of those teams people love backing as an underdog. You saw a lot of public tickets come in on Tennessee. We talked about this on East Coast Bias. And right now what you're seeing is inept Ryan Tannehill against a terrific front seven.
Yeah, and what I would say is on the other side of the ball as well. I had this game lined up as the potential breakout for this Baltimore offense. The Baltimore offense left so many points on the field against that Pittsburgh Steelers on up in Pittsburgh last week. So the idea of Baltimore finally, now we haven't really seen them. They're kicking some field goals. They have extra point, nonsense. But I really thought that this Baltimore offense would come to life this week against Tennessee. And I don't think it's going to be that big of a challenge for Baltimore here.
Yeah, listen, I'm an idiot because I hold grudges from week to week. And so when the Ravens seemingly were up 17 points against the Steelers, I bet them on the money line live. And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's only 10-3. It just seems like that because Pittsburgh has 3 first downs through 3.5 quarters here. And so the Ravens, to House's point, they do leave a lot of points on the field. So that's why I took the 4.5, and that's why I'm going to look stupid. Every touchdown is a field goal, 12-3, 15-3, 18-3. So they're leaving the door open a little bit for Tennessee, but The Titans are just so vanilla. I don't know if they can come back here.
All right, fellas, I want to give you the live line. It's 16.5 as we speak. The live total, Raheem, on FanDuel, 38.5. Any interest in a live bet, Dream?
Yes, I do. I actually like the second half over. We saw the Titans' first drive. They couldn't score, but the live over right now is 38.5. When you look at what the Ravens are doing right now to this Titans defense, they have 8.8 yards per pass, 6.2 yards per play. So I feel like the Ravens could really name their score, and we know that the Titans are going to have to throw their way back into this game. Now, the pregame line for this total was 41.5. It was even 42.5. So I think you're going to get some points in this second half. I like the second half over, and you can grab the live line right now, 38.5.
Raheem, pat yourself on the back. You hit this last week. You had the second half over. It didn't look good for a minute, but the Bills, right? They got you there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without doubt. Hopefully we can get there again as well. We already cashed the ticket for the Ravens first half. We like the Ravens full game, so I gave out both, so hopefully we can sweep them.
Hopefully we're calling Raheem London Town. That might be his new nickname if he keeps hitting these London bets as the live lines continue. The shame is there's no more London games, but we do have some games in Germany coming up in the next few weeks. So maybe Raheem could take his talents to Deutschland. All right, Sal, a buddy of yours, good friend of the Ringer, apparently has a guest pick for us. So you want to elaborate a little more?
Yeah, well, I mean, this young man produced my Against All Odds podcast years ago. Now he hosts his own show through the Ringer twice a week on this network. I'm lucky enough to be with him on Tuesday mornings for that show. The ladies love him. He's the biggest sports media heartthrob this side of Skip Bayless, I would say. Master Tate Frazier, take it away.
Yeah, what's up, Ringer Wise guys? It is Tate Frazier, and I got a pick for you. Monday Night Football. We got the Dallas Cowboys traveling out to Los Angeles to play the Chargers in SoFi Stadium. Last time around in 2021, yes, I was at that game, not to do too much of a Michael Wilbon there, but I watched the Cowboys win on a game-winning field goal in SoFi, and all the Cowboys fans went crazy because they took over SoFi. That tends to happen here, but I think this time around, the Chargers reverse it. They win this game 20-17 on a field goal. It'll probably be because some sort of controversial call. Mike McCarthy will probably be involved. And probably Kellen Moore gets the best of Mike McCarthy in this game. So I'm going to go Bolts. Let's bolt up, baby. Plus 2.5 points. I'm taking the Chargers.
What a jerk. What a complete jerk. I take back all the nice things I said about him. I'm supposed to watch this game with him at the Spotify studio tomorrow night, and then we do our thing that airs on Tuesday morning. I'm not watching this game with him if he's going to root for the Chargers, Raheem. I can't do it. He could go watch from a golf cart in Silver Lake if he wants.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bark on him as well because I think he's dead wrong about this. So I wouldn't watch the game with him either.
No, because you do. You do want to watch the game because Tate's a college basketball guy. You want him on the Chargers.
That's true. Exactly. He's going to be surprised when they're not bouncing the football up the field.
I love Tate. Tate, you couldn't be more lost on this game. Have you watched Brandon Staley coach? Wait till you see that Dallas front seven against the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a great buy low spot for the Cowboys. And fellas, quite frankly, the only reason the Cowboys weren't my Wisen Up wager is because we got to wait until Monday night, and I want immediate action. I want immediate satisfaction.
There you go.
So the Commanders work their way up the list. So, listen, Tate, we love you. Thanks for the contribution, but it's going to be a loser. Sal's going to be cashing. All right, boys, it's time to get made. Raheem, I'm going to start with you because we mentioned that at the start of this show. There are a whole lot of rat lines this week. I think Washington, Atlanta was one of them, but there's a different way you're going on this one. So what's your rat line here for week 6?
Yeah, I'm going to your neck of the woods. New York. Giants plus 14.5 at Buffalo. I mean, when you look at this game, Brian Daboll revenge game. So that's one notch right there. When you look at the Giants, they stink. Worst point differential in the league, minus 91. They're allowing 30.6 points per game and 6.3 yards per play. And if there's one thing that we know about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen is they beat up on bad teams. However, you look at the fact that the Buffalo Bills are coming back from London. They don't have a bye. And their defense is absolutely decimated. Trey White is out. Matt Milano, who's the heart of their defense. Daquan Jones, all out for the season. So look at this Giants team in this spot. This feels like the ideal spot to back the Giants. But how can you back this Giants team? And when you look at what happens with teams who come back from London. Teams returning from overseas without a bye have been tied or trailing at some point in the fourth quarter in all 11 games in NFL history.
Wow.
Also, teams returning from overseas have allowed the opposing team to go over their team total in 7 out of the 11 games in NFL history. So that would say take the Giants, but who's going to back this Giants team without left tackle Andrew Thomas, without like Saquon Barkley or Darren Waller? It's just a bad spot. This is a rat line on both sides.
So I totally get that, and it is a revenge game. That's why I would be inclined, as lousy and as pathetic as the Giants have been, there's no way in the world I'm laying 15 or 15.5 points with the Buffalo Bills. It's a Brian Dable, Tyrod Taylor revenge game for him, so I like it. I'm also going to stay in New York for my rat line of the week. You guys want to explain this to me? The New York Jets are without Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. Yet, this line between the Eagles and the Jets has not moved up. It actually moved down. It is under a touchdown. Now, I know what the history and the narrative is between the Eagles and the Jets. The Jets all time have never beaten the Philadelphia Eagles. But when you're dealing with undefeated teams, and you know Philadelphia is going to be a popular teaser choice, they're going to be a popular parlay choice, they're going to be involved in all of those equations in the late afternoon window. I just think this one is going to be trickier than you think. I think the Jet defensive line is going to have a day. I just have a feeling this game comes down to the wire. I'm going with the Jets and the Eagles as your rat line of the week. Sal, what do you got?
Oh, I jumped all over that. I don't know. Yeah, I know that went back and forth, but the Eagles have injuries too. That might be why it's staying in the 6-7 range. But I am picking a game that I might as well take the Patriots as the rat line every single week, because this Patriots-Raiders game, you can't trust either of these teams. This is telemarketers versus used car salesmen. That's how much trust there is in this game. I mean, Patriots are outscored 72-3 in the last 2 weeks. How do you hang a line on a team like that in the first place? And secondly, they're playing the Raiders, who I don't think have won back-to-back games since 1979. So no trust in these teams. Patriots way at the bottom in terms of offense, but the Raiders 28th in the league with 15 points per game. So again, I don't know what's to be expected here. It could be Tommy and Bill Belichick both getting made at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, a complete stay away. Talk about a game I have no interest in betting. Josh McDaniels against Bill Belichick's pathetic Patriot team. Complete stay away as far as I'm concerned. House, last but not least, rat line.
So I'm in the same lane as Dream, where we have a team favored by more than 2 touchdowns. I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers getting 14.5 points at the Miami Dolphins. And this is really a technical play in 2 different areas. Teams who are double-digit favorites in consecutive games. You recall last week that Miami was a double-digit favorite and covered at home. The same now going against this Carolina Panthers. I'm worried about the back door here. The teams that were double-digit favorites and covered in the first week, they only cover the second week about a third of the time. And I'm also looking at something we talked about at the top of the show. We want to be very careful with the public. 87% of the tickets and 91% of the money is on Miami. You got to go the other way or stay away. And the recommendation here is stay away.
Yeah, I agree with House on this. I mean, we look at this Dolphins team. They are 31st in defensive success rate and 22nd in EPA per play on defense. In addition, one of the big things when it comes to this game is that the Dolphins, they're huge favorites. And guess who they have to play next week? JJ knows they have to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. So why would you want to put anything on tape that really matters against this team as 13.5, 14-point favorites? So I expect them to be in and out like a robbery, really vanilla offense, just to not show too much. But I just can't back this this Panthers team.
That's a tough game to bet. I mean, a ton of points. I get the look-ahead spot, but putting your money on Carolina, tough sell. All right, boys, we have a listener or a viewer email. I mean, my podcasting history, of course, it takes you to listener, but we have a viewer email. It's for you, House. I'm a Houstonian through and through, and the Texans are on the come-up. Let's tease the Texans at home from 1.5 to 7.5. Let's combine that with the Seahawks coming off a bye, 2.5 to 8.5. FanDuel pays -134. I know the Bengals finally put together a good game last week, and I'm not sold. Okay, House, 7.5 to the Texans, 8.5 to the Seahawks. You're a tease man. What do we think?
I'm so honored in the first place that the viewer was looking to me for this tease advice, but I think he's onto something here. I love the Houston leg because this is a low scoring game. The total is in that 42 and a half kind of range. So pushing it up over 7 is good value as a starting point from a technical side. But on the football field, this Houston passing offense is going to be the best passing offense that the Saints will have faced this entire season, which is a kind of crazy thing, but they've only faced quarterbacks like Jordan Love and Bryce Young and Mac Jones. CJ Stroud doesn't throw picks, doesn't make mistakes. I like this Houston leg quite a bit. And let's talk about the Seattle leg really quickly. The reason that I think the pushing the Seattle points up is a sound leg is because the Cincinnati defense very quietly has been bad. They don't get any pressure. They're 28th in run EPA. They allow the second highest rate of explosive runs. The Seattle Seahawks top 10 in DVOA in both sides of offense, both rushing and passing. Geno Smith as an underdog, very good. Great teaser. I love this. Thank you.
You know, I only have one concern here, and the letter comes from a fellow named Zach. I hope it's not Zach Charbonnet, because I'm pretty sure the league has strict rules about betting on your own team and teasing Seattle up. I worry about the other leg, actually, the Texans, because that defense made Desmond Ridder last week look like Tom Brady. I mean, it was really ridiculous. So I do worry a little bit, and Saints have been a different team with Alvin Kamara in the lineup. He had like 50 touches in 2 games. He's really lighting it up.
Boys, we love when the audience gets involved. Guess what? We want you to get involved that much more. Send us your bets and questions at ringerwiseguys@gmail.com or leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. We got a lot more coming up. We got more guest picks. We got more underdogs to cash. Coming right back. Welcome back to Ringer Wise Guys here on FanDuel TV, and we remind you that there's more outstanding programming coming your way on FanDuel TV. It's Joe House, Raheem Palmer, And yeah, this guy, John Jastremski, will be on East Coast Bias. We have our Western Conference NBA Futures Preview. Want to check that out? Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, the Cuz and a full cast of characters on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. You want to check that out? Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on FanDuel TV. So, boys, it's now time for us to dive in to Man's Best Bet, where Joe House is underdogs. I don't know how he's doing it, Sal. We need to join the winning brigade. We need a winning pooch. What's the winning pooch, baby?
You know what? We could do that, or we could just let House take this whole segment. Honestly, just take the whole 8 minutes. I mean, he's at like four of his first 5 or something crazy. But my dog is the Bears +1. My dog is actually a bear. +132. Yes, look at it. It's a sad, sickly dog. It hasn't bathed in years. It has 3 legs and is in danger of losing its tongue. And yet I like it. Chicago's won 3 of 5, last 5 against Minnesota. Maybe they put together a little run. You know, they beat the Commanders. They have a little bit of a rest advantage. And by the way, are we sure the Vikings, who lose to everyone by 1 score anyway, are good without Justin Jefferson? I'm not sure. This offense goes to KJ Osborne and you know, Madison, who's underachieved, and you know, Addison and Madison, all the Addison, anything that rhymes with Addison is in this lineup and is underachieving. I like the Bears to win this game, and I like it to be high scoring, uninspiring. Kirk Cousins there leading the way. It's only trade talk about Kirk Cousins for the next month. So give me the Bears here at home.
I will pray for you on that one. That game had immediate stay away and cross off written all over it. Kirk Cousins without Justin Jefferson. I get your point, Sal, but you're also betting on Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. So just be careful, buddy. That's all I'm going to say. Be careful.
I'm never careful. That's my problem.
Well, that's part of the problem. I get that. Well, House is never careful, but he keeps winning these man's best bets. So, buddy, take it away.
Yeah, I'm worried about this one. You guys will understand. I am in this den of New England inequity, which means there is only one way I can go. And the Cousin Sal told us to stay away, but the Cousins trash is my treasure. Fellas, I'm going with the New England Patriots on the money line at Las Vegas. Now, this number earlier in the week was in the +130, all the way up to near +140. It's down to +126. So some other folks out there in the public are feeling this. The Patriots are coming off the 2 worst losses in the history of the franchise. That's when I step in. I love this opportunity for the Patriots. This is by far for the Pats the worst team that they will have confronted. They have played the hardest schedule by a long shot of any team in the entire NFL. They have not had an opportunity to get on their own game script because they've been playing catch up. They've embarrassed poor Mac Jones every week, every second half. Poor Mac Jones is back there running for his life, throwing off the wrong foot. He does not look good. This is finally an opportunity for the Patriots, perhaps to not have to go pass heavy. The Raiders' run defense is not any good. They're in the bottom 10, and that's against a bunch of teams with very bad run offenses. I understand exactly what I'm putting myself into here in terms of, you know, signing up with New England. I honestly don't think the Podfather likes this, and Patriots Nation would prefer that the Patriots lose out so they can get into this quarterback sweepstakes. But I'm on the Patriots this week. A little bit of mentor protege, Bill Belichick, with a Boston Terrier. It'll be all smiles at the end of this game. A nice, playful dog. Let's go with the Pats, fellas.
I don't like this. I feel like House is being, bamboozled into taking this pick. He's got Boston surroundings all over himself. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a gluten-free breadstick pointed at his head right now off camera just to take the Patriots and make everyone feel good. You're breaking your streak here, House.
Very disappointed in you, House. Very disappointed. We'll see how your man's best bet shakes out. Dream, what do you got, buddy?
Okay, so Sal has been clowning me about taking little dogs. The first week, I hit a little dog, and then I started to get, too big for my britches. I started taking all these big dogs. So I'm going with a Chihuahua today. I'm going to Houston, Texas, +108, hoping to get off the snide. Look, when you look at this Saints team, are you really going to trust Dennis Allen as a favorite? The Saints are 2-7-1 against the spread as favorites under Dennis Allen, including 0-5-1 against the spread in their last 6. Are you going to trust Derek Carr as a favorite, as a road favorite? He's 5-15-2 against the spread as a road favorite in his career. So that's 2 strikes. When you look at CJ Stroud, he's been incredible. 461 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in 5 games. Like, he's playing unbelievable, and the offensive line has been in the hospital. Now the offensive line is healthy, and they're facing this Saints team who really hasn't played anybody. Look at the quarterbacks that the Saints played. They played Ryan Tannehill, who is like, he looks horrible right now on the London game. You can see it right now. You look at Bryce Young. They lost to Jordan Love. Jordan Love is terrible. They got blown out at home by Baker Mayfield, and then they defeated Mac Jones, who had 3 turnovers, including a pick 6. So CJ Stroud is literally the best quarterback that they're going to face. Give me the Houston Texans plus 108. Sal, you're not going to clown me for this one because I'm trying to get off the snot.
That's okay. Take your plus 108. I just worry about the pick a little bit. But well, who am I? I don't think I've won a man's best dog since 7 dog years ago. I don't know.
I like the Chihuahua. I'm with it, Raheem. It's an endorsement from yours truly. You know who else I'm going to get an endorsement from for man's best bet? Our buddy cousin Sal, because his Wising Up wager is my man's best bet. I don't need the 3 points with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look at that beautiful pooch right there. He's got a little scowl to him. He looks like Captain Jack Sparrow. The Buccaneers are winning this game outright. We talked about Detroit and how different they look when they get away from Ford Field, specifically Jared Goff and how different he looks. I'll take Tampa with that terrific defense. I'll take Tampa with a little extra time to prepare. And I think Baker Mayfield, fellas, has been playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder here. He played well with the Rams last year. He's playing well with Tampa this year. They got Mike Evans back in the fold. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers outright. They get it done against the Detroit Lions. Now, Sal, for our next guest pick, this is like the Cousin Sal Variety Hour. You're just finding friends left and right this week, dude.
I have a lot of friends with gambling interests, and this is no exception. This one's a treat. Our next guest picker, she's a delight despite having worked for the Patriots. Some might say she's superhuman because this summer she donated a kidney to a stranger. That's not a lie, but the truth is, if she does not come through with this pick, she is no better than the rest of us. My good pal, Megan Conley.
Ringer Wise, guys, what's happening, fellas? It's Megan Connolly coming to the family with an NFL Week 6 bet for your consideration. We head down to the Meadowlands where the Jets play host to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are off to a red-hot start. They're 5-0 on the season, and they absolutely own the Jets. They've beaten the Jets in all 12 regular season matchups. That's an NFL record. Jalen Hurts is pretty good when favored by 4 or more points. So good, in fact, his record 20-1 when favored by 4 or more. That one loss to Taylor Heineke, who might be better than Zach Wilson. Speaking of Zach Wilson, he and the Jets have really struggled against teams that put up 20 or more points. We know the Eagles have the ability to do that today. Their record 4-12 against teams that put up more than 20 points. Not a lot of good things going on for the Jets. I like the Eagles to cover today. So you guys, let me know. You think this bet is a heist or too good to be true?
Thank you, Megan. It's good to know I'll be heads up on yet another guest pick. I guess that's a theme for Week 6. JJ against the guest. What can I say?
JJ, I have to say, she knows the lingo. She's talking about heist. I feel like we have to trust her. I mean, what other psychopath has a shrine of Cody Rhodes and the Orlando Magic mascot in the background?
Understandable. And that is a badass mascot, if I say so myself. Just throwing that out there. All right, guys, let's get to our Ringer grab bag, where we'll give you a variety of different things coming our way, whether it's a tease, whether it's a prop. I don't even know where we're going. You know where we're going? I'm making sure I'm in the right direction. Raheem, what do you got, buddy?
I got a 2-team 6-point teaser, -120. Patriots, +9. Eagles, pick 'em. Look at the Eagles. It's a really bad matchup for the Jets, especially in the absence of Elijah Vera Tucker. How are they going to block for Zach Wilson against that Eagles pass rush without Elijah Vera Tucker? Eagles top 10 in rushing EPA per play and rushing success rate on defense, which means that the Jets aren't going to be able to rely on Breece Hall. So I really like the Eagles. They should be able to win that game. No Sauce Gardner out there. Just a really bad matchup for the Jets. I know they won last week in Denver. Now they got to come back home and face one of the best teams in the league. It's not going to go well for them. Now, when you look at the New England Patriots, and I'm not just saying this because House is at Bill's house, he's probably being kidnapped like the plot of, Boston Pride and being forced to pick the Patriots, but I'm not. I like the Patriots getting 9 points. When you look at their schedule, they face Philly, Miami, Dallas, New Orleans. Those are probably 4 of the top 10 teams in the league, and they're facing this Raiders team who they probably should have beat last year, but they decided to throw the ball away inexplicably, and I just think this is a good spot for the Patriots. Raiders, 28th in defensive DVOA, 24th ranked defense. So give me the Patriots +9, Eagles pick 'em.
All right, boys, 2-team tees. House is going to like one of the plays because I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts and I'm bumping them up. I think that London game and the idea of playing it back-to-back weeks for Jacksonville is problematic. I think Gardner Minshew is an equal quarterback at this point in time to Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to take Indy, get them over 10. I got it at 10.5. Then I'm taking the 49ers. And I thought I was going to be betting Cleveland early this week. The Niners looking like the most dominant team in the NFL, smoking the Dallas Cowboys. But then we get news that P.J. Walker is going to be the quarterback in Cleveland. So you want to tell me the Cleveland defense shows up and that this is a competitive game? You could sell me on that. I think there's a world we're living in where this game is maybe closer than you think. There's no way in the world P.J. Walker is beating the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to tease up Indianapolis. I'm going to tease down the Niners at -150. That's a winning tease. House, I know you like winning teases. What do we got for week 6?
All we do on this show is give out winning teases. This is going to be 3 for 3, gents. And I'm so happy. We've already talked about both of these games, so I feel pretty comfortable with the position. I've got Seattle going from 3 to 9 against Cincinnati on the road, and I'm taking the Rams in a 2-team 6-point teaser from 7 points down to 1. The Seattle case, I've already made it. I like the Seattle team very much offensively in terms of the challenge that they pose to the Bengals. There is this possibility of there being some weather issues. If that means that Seattle just runs the ball, fine. Cincinnati's been giving up explosive runs all season long. On the Rams side, we've made the case already. All I need the Rams to do is basically win this football game against the Cardinals. Their secondary is banged up on the Cardinals side. They can't get any pass rush whatsoever. This is a Matthew Stafford Cook opportunity. Look at all of your alternative lines in terms of Matthew Stafford yards. Go ahead and feel free to jump in on those. I'd like the Rams to score a whole ton of points this week. Seattle +9, Rams down to 1. We're going to give out another big winner.
I like the idea of seeing 3 teasers here in our grab bag. But, Sal, you want to go a little different here. You want to go against the grain. So you got a prop for us.
Yeah, it's ironic that I don't have a teaser. You guys have teasers, but in real life, I probably have 11 teasers bet throughout the day Sunday. But anyway, I am going to go player prop. Breece Hall over 16.5 yards, longest rush. He had 177 yards last week, a long of 72, a long of 43 the week before against Kansas City. Remember, he broke an 83-yarder versus the Bills. I think he's the fastest player on the field. And whether you like the Jets or the Eagles today, if he breaks a tackle, he can crush this number by the end of the first quarter. Over 16.5, longest rush. I don't know, House, how you feel about that. We've been talking about the Eagles and all day. So go ahead.
Well, while we wait for Joe House, I don't know where he went. I don't know where he vanished to. Oh, look who has joined us.
You look terrible, House. What happened?
I didn't even put my contact lenses in. And I'm wearing House's gross earbeards. I don't know what kind of earwax situation House has. Disgusting.
Oh boy.
House and I have known each other since 1988, so I guess we can share earbuds. Hi, guys.
You're going to have an infection by guess the lines. My God. Good luck to you.
I know. I have swimmers here already.
Did you kidnap House and force him to make that Patriots bet? What's going on?
He came in last night. I fed him with pasta and meat sauce. And then he told me he loved the Patriots. And I tried to tell him for 15 minutes why it was a terrible idea. And he should run from them and not go near them. And they're going to activate Malik Cunningham today and actually play him. He hasn't played all year. And I just think the Pats are done, but he won't listen to me. And that line's dropping. That line on FanDuel is 2.5 right now.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand at all. The Pats haven't looked good for one half this entire season.
Well, he's
And
not
how's
listening to you because he's eating and he's crunching, and it's very hard to take in, like, observe anything otherwise.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
There's stuff I don't get this week because, like, my best bet this week is the Falcons, and that line is dropping, and now it's like
you
1.5 on
about
FanDuel.
that, going 3.5 to 1.5. You can't feel good about that.
I feel great about it. I think they're going to run the ball all over Washington. I don't think Washington can stop the run. They're giving up like 4.5 a carry, and I think they're going to pound them. I think they're good at home. Ritter, when was the last time Ritter lost at home? So
He's
I don't know.
never lost at home. Ever.
Yeah, I think he's a different guy.
Which means he's due to lose at home, by the way.
Yeah, but here's
Is
the
the guy
thing,
going to win
Jay.
10 zillion home starts in a row?
I know, but JJ, sometimes teams are just good at home and then completely different on the road, right? There's like one or two teams every year, and I think this year it's probably the Falcons. I think I like the Falcons as a home team. I wouldn't go near them on a road team. The Houston, New Orleans, I liked Houston at the start of the week and through the week, but now that one's starting to worry me. Like Dell's out, and I think there's some red flags. I'm with you guys on the Bucks Lions. That looks like the rat line to me. Why isn't that line 4? The Lions are like one of the 5 best teams in the league, and it's in Tampa, 92-degree weather. Lions are the Jags coming back from 2 weeks in London. There's so many red flags, and to me, that is like the exact definition of a rat line.
Here's the thing about
Go
that.
ahead, Raheem.
About that game. The Eagles were laying 5 on the road. So 3 is the fair line because the Eagles have to be 2.5 points better than the Lions. So I think that's why it's 3.
JJ, can I tell you what I did today?
Let's hear this.
I have the Eagles teased with literally everybody in the National Football League and some college football teams and some basketball teams. I figured out how to tease them with hockey. It's impossible. Nobody knew you could tease football and hockey. I did that. I teased them with golf. I have them teased. If there's a sporting event over the next 72 hours, the Eagles are in a tease with them.
Aces, Eagles.
I don't see how the Jets beat the Eagles with no cornerbacks, with Zach Wilson. To me, the weather would have to be like 50-mile-an-hour winds and just the worst weather of all time for them to. It'd have to be a monsoon for them to have a chance. So I have the Eagles with everything.
And I'm in New York. It is gorgeous. It was terrible yesterday. It's 60 degrees. It's sunny. It might be a little windy at MetLife Stadium. Weather not going to be a factor. And here's what's going to make things maybe even worse for you. And I agree. The Eagles going to win the game. They should be teased and parlayed with everything. But I think the line stinks at 6.5. So watch. That ends up being a 3 or 4 point game. The Eagles, Bill, have never in their history lost to the Jets.
Ever. Is that true?
That is true. Ever.
Yeah. Like Raheem, I know you're always a little suspicious of teasers. What is the case for the Jets winning this game and blowing your tease up? I don't see it. I just think this is like, there's like 3 times a year where whatever reason the line lands where it does. And you're like, okay, I'll just tease that down to a half point or a point, whatever. And I'm just getting 6 free points with every game on the schedule. I don't understand why that's not the play.
Yeah, I think it's the play as well. I mean, I gave it out with the Patriots as my teaser. So like, I agree with you. You just teasing the Eagles with everything just because it just feels like it's a bad spot. Like, Sal took Breece Hall over 16.5 longest rush, but I don't agree with that because the Eagles have a top 10 rush defense. So if you can't run the ball and you can't trust Zach Wilson, what do? And then Elijah Vera Tucker is out. So how are they going to block this team?
JJ, can I give you the other one I like?
Is it a rat line or just a game you like?
The Carolina line is too high. The 14 points.
It's 14.5 now.
14.5.
I agree with you. It is too high.
They can move the ball. Like, I think when you look at like high lines like that, I hate situations where the big favorite has a great defense and it just ends up being like 31-3, 28-3, something like that. But there's cheap touchdown potential. Miami's banged up, right? That you're still missing some guys on both sides. It seems like the easiest game possible, right? They probably went out last night. I'm guessing, we're playing the Panthers tomorrow. Let's go out tonight. There's just something suspicious about that game to me. And I was looking, you can do an adjusted line on FanDuel at like plus 7.5. And you can put that with the Browns money line because that terrible weather, that's another one that looks too easy in all kinds of ways. And I could see that being like a 6-3 game. And you could put those together and get like a 12-1 parlay or 10-1 parlay, something like that. If you just want to throw a long shot on something, but I don't trust that Miami. It just seems too easy, JJ.
But
No,
this
I
is
understand that. And
yeah.
the only
no,
thing, though,
go ahead.
the only thing, guys, Miami last week was as sloppy as can be. Tua threw a pick six. They turned it over in their own end when he got his hand hit on a helmet.
Yeah.
And I know the Giants are an abomination. They should have won by 40 to 45 points. Like, they do have that sort of potential to keep going pedal to the metal. But I think Raheem Bill hit on something that's important. The idea that they have Philadelphia at Philly next week, Sal, I almost think Miami is going to try to play as vanilla a game as possible, get out 7-10, and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean that's and even with the Eagles, like that, if I could play devil's advocate, one of these good teams is not going to show up for the subpar team one of these weeks, right? Like the Eagles might be the most disrespected team in the league, and I hate them, and I hate the Phillies more. But yeah, just you keep thinking like they're not going to show up for the Rams or now this week against the Jets. They do have a couple injuries themselves, Philadelphia, but they'll probably take care of business. Same thing with Miami. Like, why do they need to crush these teams? The Giants almost covered. They had many backdoor opportunities last week. So yes, Simmons is right. It could easily happen. Sanders being out though makes me think I don't know how they move the ball is the only thing. Team like the Panthers.
Well, it's a desperation game for the Panthers, right? And there was some stuff with Frank Reich and the owner this week where he talked about the owner and it seemed positive, but it seemed also a little veiled that they were talking about the analytics and stuff. But to me, it's like if Carolina loses this game, then they have to tank for their for the right. Oh no, wait, they don't have their first round pick. So that's the other thing is, and I'm looking at that with some of these teams like the Pats. And Denver, I think are teams you have to be really careful betting on right now because I don't want the Pats to win any more games. Like to me, it's like bring Malik Cunningham in. Let's do RPOs. Let's have some fun and let's lose every game for the rest of the season.
You might get your wish.
Well, I watched the Penix against Bo Nix yesterday. I would take either of those guys in the Pats, but especially Penix. And if Penix is like the number 3 prize in this draft, you get the 3rd pick and you get him.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I don't want the Pats ever to win again.
Wouldn't that be great? We're all on the same page. None of us ever want the Patriots to win again. Why can't it just happen?
We finally arrived. This is great.
It only took 20 years. I can't believe we're living in a world, Sal, where Bill is watching college football on a Saturday.
I know, it's great. I love it.
What world is this, Bill?
I love it.
I watch that. I try to watch one college football game a week, but now that the Pats are in this quarterback situation, now I'm in scout mode, Sal. This is Saturday. It's like checking the schedule, trying to figure out who to go for. It's been pretty fun.
That was a great one to watch. And yeah, my son was at the game. Big disappointment. But yeah, that Pac-12, what a shame. I mean, we can get into the whole thing. What a farce that it's going away.
Well, okay. Bill, thanks for joining us, buddy. Don't be a stranger. You've sent in a guest pick, and I gotta give you a little mea culpa. Your tease was a gem. I spit on it. I didn't give it the credit it deserved.
It was really good. Yeah.
My mistake.
Bill, I was the only one who didn't clown your teaser. I said let him cook, and you cooked.
Oh, last week.
Yeah.
You're Zach Wilson tease. Correct.
Yeah. I have a 13 point this week. I was tell you guys about, but I didn't want to be bullied again.
No, you might tell us now.
Oh, it was, the Bills down -2. It was the Eagles to +6.5. Raheem Hayes, you go through the 0. It was the Seahawks way up, and there was some other team. But I think this is the week to do a 13-point tease because you have the Eagles and the Bills. Those are 2 free legs. So now you get to just move 2 other games, 13 points.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, thanks,
Simmons,
guys.
Simmons has to restock
Thank you
his
for passing that along.
because the house has been
anytime. Yeah, make sure you feed him, please.
He's got a cryo appointment at 9. Go ahead, go to it, Simmons.
Bye, guys.
That's our buddy, our boss, our pal, the great Bill Simmons. And what we are going to do is take a look at the injury board. There are a couple of big scratches. You want to take note of that as you get ready for your football Sunday. Daniel Jones out for the New York Giants. No surprise there. Tyrod Taylor in at quarterback. Deshaun Watson out for the Cleveland Browns. It will be P.J. Walker at quarterback. Then you have Miles Sanders. We were talking about that Carolina game. He's out for the Panthers. Another big scratch. Jets without star cornerback Sauce Gardner. They'll be without Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed trying to take down the big bad Philadelphia Eagles. And Sam Laporta, who has been a stud, little hidden gem for John Jastremski's fantasy team, he will be playing for the Detroit Lions on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's do some SGPs before we say goodbye. Raheem, we are scratching the SGPs. Sorry about that, boys. We're audible and on the fly. That's what happens when the Podfather comes on the show. We have a listener email that I got to get to, or a viewer email. Eventually, I'll get this right. Hey, fellas, love all the content this year. My bet for the weekend is the Bills laying 8.5 in the first half against the Giants. I won't catch the show live as I am tuning in from Australia. How about that? But I'll be sure to watch the replay when I wake up to hear your thoughts. Cheers, James. Sal, I don't know, man. I don't like first half wagers to begin with. I think Buffalo spunky against the Giants in a spunky spot with Dable revenge, with Tyrod Taylor revenge, and Buffalo coming back from London. I'm not giving 8.5 in the first half my blessing, dude.
I sympathize with James because I feel the same way. I'm going to wake up later. I'm still comatose here, but we are the #1 pregame show, not only in the U.S., but also in Australia. But I'm going to hand this over to Raheem because he had a lot of stats earlier on that indicate you should not be taking the Bills in the first half and maybe not even at all. Right, Raheem?
Yeah, like I said before, when you come back from London, you tend to struggle. So there's no reason to take the Bills in this spot. I wish you the best of luck, but
he's sleeping.
I would go the other way.
He can't turn it around now. He can't change it.
Yeah.
How's any interest laying 8.5 with Buffalo?
No, I feel like it's the exact same condition. The Bills are coming in. They're full. They're feeling groggy. I just had 2 bagels during that segment. And Simmons was
4
sitting here.
pounds.
Exactly right. I know this feeling. I couldn't cover 8.5 either. I like the idea of staying away from it, but I really like the idea of Australia hitting up the wise guys. Let's keep it coming. Worldwide wise guys, fellas.
Maybe who's next? We're going to Germany. We're going to England. We're going to Italy. Sal, taking the show on the road, baby.
You're right. Let's just all go to Simmons' house. That seems like the place to be.
I was going to say, next show, forget about going international.
Right.
We're going to be with you, house, man. That's the move. Well, boys, that's going to wrap up the Week 6 edition of Ringer Wise Guys. We have a ton more coming on our digital streams, on our digital platforms, which you want to check out. Check us out on Twitter, all the social media platforms, what have you. We'll have some honorable mentions coming your way that we didn't get to throughout the course of the show. We might even have another surprise guest who finds his way to come on to our digital time. So you want to check that out on wherever you get your social media platforms. And there are many places to find us here. That's Cousin Sal. That's Joe House, Raheem Palmer, JJ, John Jastremski signing off. We'll be back same time, same place next week here on FanDuel TV. Wise Guys out. Be good, everybody. And as you can tell, fellas, I got a massive Charlie horse, and I almost used a whole lot of profanity. So it's a good thing we got off FanDuel TV, Sal.
Well, how did you do that? What?
Well, I don't know. I'm cramping up. Remember, I drove back from Philly. I had a wedding last night, so maybe sitting in the car for 2.5 hours. I kid you not. I cannot believe I kept it together after that Charlie horse. I'm proud of myself.
Well, FanDuel TV has like 22 hours of horse racing coverage, so that's really good promotion you're doing. I don't know if you did it by accident or on purpose.
It was not on accident. I can tell you that. And my leg is in one piece, so hallelujah. Let's get to a London game update as they're about to hit the fourth quarter between the Ravens and the Tennessee Titans. It is 18-13 Baltimore. Ravens driving right now, trying to make it a 2-score game. Raheem, points. I know you like that, buddy.
Yeah, I love that. We had the live over 38.5. We saw 10 third quarter points. So we just need 8 points. Hopefully the Ravens can get in the end zone right now. We're sitting at a live over under of 45.5. We gave it out at 38.5. So we're in a good position as long as the Ravens can get this in the end zone right now.
Sal?
Yeah,
I know I'm going to be sweating this out, by the way.
Well,
because
it looks like Tannehill is walking off with a similar, what is this? Another Charlie horse situation. Yeah, look, Lamar threw the interception to make it close, almost backdoored by Tennessee, not to be outdone by Tannehill. And now it looks like the Ravens should put it away.
boys, let's get to some honorable mentions. We have one on Monday night, the Cowboys and the Chargers. And Tate Frazier mentioned the idea of liking the Chargers plus 2.5 or 1.5 now. I don't see it. I think the Dallas Cowboys are to play. I think it's a good buy low spot for them, Raheem. After the perception of them after the game against the 49ers is, oh, Dallas not on the same level, can't play with top teams. I think the Chargers are the perfect anecdote for them. I think they're the perfect team to get it right, get it clear. I expect a big bounce back from your Cowboys. You on board, Dream?
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had a good read on this Cowboys team the entire year. And I want to shout out Steven Ruiz. He actually wrote an article for The Ringer saying that the Dallas Cowboys offense is broken and Mike McCarthy might not be capable of fixing it. Now, when you look at the other team, the Chargers, they have the Cowboys' old offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm going to watch that game as a fan. It's taking place at the same time as my beloved Phillies in the NLCS. So I'll be switching back and forth. Well, I got multiple TVs, but we'll see what happens.
He has multiple TVs. That's how you know he's a successful gambler, JJ. We're all stuck with one. I'm watching like I'm on my laptop here. Yeah, listen, I think this is a nice spot for the Cowboys. Rarely do we have a coaching advantage, and I feel like we do in McCarthy over Staley. Also 10-1 against the spread after a loss since 2021 against the 31st defense in the league and the Chargers. That's very underrated. People love the flashy numbers Herbert puts up, but defensively, you should be able to do whatever you want. Call your score, like Raheem would say, with the Cowboys. I think there's hope. I'm taking Dallas, and I also have a same game parlay coming up with the Cowboys tomorrow night.
Yeah, because the coaching advantage that I like in this matchup, and I'm also on the side of Dallas here, is Dan Quinn up against Kellen Moore. I think Dan Quinn is going to be able to game plan just fine against Justin Herbert and the Chargers' weapons. And then the real issue is, you mentioned it, the San Diego defense, and moving San Diego into a one-dimensional game script. If that Dallas defense understands that it can just pin its ears back and start getting after Herbert, the San Diego offensive line, not great. Let's see Micah start cooking. I'm down with that Monday night Dallas bounce back.
No one tell House that they moved from San Diego. Let him keep believing. That's okay.
I'm saying nothing. Secret safe.
It's fine. I'm on West Coast time.
They have no fans anyway.
A little bit of a Freudian slip, because for what it's worth, they still should be in San Diego.
You're 90% Cowboy fans anyway. Yeah.
Easily. We'll be a Cowboy home game and then some. Let's get to another game that's an honorable mention, and that's the Seahawks and the Bengals. I'm surprised nobody really got involved with this particular game. You know, Raheem, when we did East Coast Bias earlier in the week, I thought I was going to be on Cincinnati in this spot. And then the more and more I thought about the game, I thought about Pete Carroll and his success coming to the East Coast. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks coming off a bye. The idea that Seattle is a lot healthier going into this game. And maybe early in the week, I was making too much of Cincinnati getting their offense back on track against the lowly Arizona Cardinals. I like Cincy early in the week. Now it's a stay away for me. What's your read on Seahawks-Bengals?
It's a stay away from me as well. And the big reason why is because that Cincinnati Bengals defense isn't what it used to be, what we saw from them in years past. And, you know, they have some injuries at corner. I just don't read on the game. Obviously, they did look a lot better against the Arizona Cardinals defense, but we all know that they're one of the worst defenses in the league. Now, one thing I will say is, if you like the Cincinnati Bengals, there's a good number out there on the Cincinnati Bengals to win the division. You can get them at plus 470 to win the division. So if they win this game, and they are favored, that number is going to be chopped in half. Now, there is sharp money on the Seattle Seahawks, but there was also sharp money on the Bengals at minus 2.5. So I don't have a play on this game, but if you do like Cincy, take them to win the division right now, because you're going to get good value on that.
Yeah, I thought Sorry, Cuz.
No, it's you, House. Good.
I thought that the Cincinnati defense has not been properly, sort of exposed, because this week feels like to me that time is coming. They are giving up explosive plays over the top in terms of the pass game. They can't mount any kind of pass rush. I love that Seattle. I have Seattle on teaser legs in a couple different combinations. I have them with the Rams. I have them with Houston. I love getting Seattle pushed up, and there is some weather that's supposed to be potentially affecting this game. So a relatively low total, getting Seattle up to 9. The line's at 3 now. I just think that Seattle's been pretty solid so far this year, Sal.
Yeah, they have been. And Raheem, I was looking at that to win the division, the Bengals, they were 5-1 Monday. And I was like, oh my God, they're just as good as any team, But then I look at their schedule after this bye, after the Seattle game, at San Francisco, they have Buffalo, Houston, and then at Baltimore, and they already have head-to-head losses with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But yes, you look at this division that was supposed to be great and competitive, and the Ravens have trouble putting teams away, and the Steelers are weird, and the Browns, who knows how long they'll play without Deshaun. I agree with Raheem, and let's not overestimate a team based on how they performed against the Arizona Cardinals. And FanDuel has done this again to us, put it at 2.5, 3. 4 weeks in a row, the Bengals line has been 2.5, 3. I like Seattle in this spot. 14, 4-2. Again, think against the spread in the last 20 October games. So this is a nice spot for Pete Carroll, I think.
And if you like Cincinnati, go grab that number to win the division. Go grab that number to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, that's the sort of number that's going to move quite a bit if they go and win the game. I know, House, you're laughing, and I don't think
I'm not laughing.
Win the Super Bowl.
I'm just
House,
blown away. I was just blown away. I'm not
honest.
laughing. No,
I'm telling you
I
right
have
now,
Simmons
get the
earwax.
number.
I'm not laughing.
You're wincing. Yeah.
Speaking of wincing, the guys on Extra Point Taken don't like my Wives and Up wager, which I'm very disappointed to hear. I mean, you would think these guys, top-notch football minds, would be locked in with one of your wise guys. Sean Solak, that's not the case. Take it away.
The moment you've all been waiting for, Ben Solak.
Okay.
Locks of the week.
I have an idea.
Guys on fire. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear. Yeah, what's your idea?
Do you want to, we each give our 4, and then the other one helps us pick which 3?
I have 2, and then I have I don't even know that I have, I'm just going to
okay.
go. I'll do this. Here's what do you have 2 that you feel good about?
I have Lions -3 against the Bucks. 1-loss Buccaneers team, plucky Buccaneers team, a lot to like. They played that Eagles team and just kind of showed they weren't punching at the NFC contender weight. I think they're the same thing they're going to see against the Lions. That -3 as of right now is -120 on FanDuel, so you're getting the hook, which is nice. You get a push if it ends up being a field goal game, which we haven't had a tie yet. We haven't had a push yet so far betting this season. Lions -3.
So this is one I've actually looked at. So listen, I'm not going to tell you again. Not going to tell you what to do. If we get to a point where you say, "Hey, Shield, let's both go in on this," we can consider that. Here's my only issue. I think the Lions are very good. I agree with you. I think they're better than the Bucks. I'm not scared about Jared Goff on the road. I think they can win in different ways. I like going with the offensive coordinators who I trust and like, and Ben Johnson is absolutely in that category. Have you looked at this Lions injury report?
Sam Laporta, ankle. Jahmyr Gibbs, hamstring. Amon-Ra St. Brown, knee, I think it is.
Amon-Ra was a full participant
nice.
Thursday, so that's good. Offensive line. Frank Ragnow did not now it says toe resting player, but that's an offensive lineman. Jonah Jackson, ankle, did not participate in practice. Brian Branch did not participate in Thursday's practice. Laporta, like you mentioned, did not participate. Jahmyr Gibbs, there's kind of a lot of names on there. I don't know if it's enough to move me off of that Lions pick. I still, if I had to pick a side, I'm definitely taking the Lions, but that did make me a little bit nervous.
I do like the Falcons -2.5 against the Commanders. The Falcons really, really good run defense. I'm going to put the Commanders in a spot where they have to be pass happy. And then it becomes are sacks a pressure thing, a defensive line, offensive line thing, or are they a quarterback thing? And over the course of data, we know them to be a quarterback thing. The Falcons haven't necessarily been a high sack team, but you expect Howell to just take those negative plays, give you short fields, and then the ability to control the ball on the other side. Where, like I said, this Commanders passing game is gettable. I think that you're going to see a strong Ritter game for the second consecutive week. And then they should be able to run the football even against this front. Really, really good at getting motion, right, and kind of denying a really good defensive line by using tricky stuff, by using counter runs and getting outside of the boundary. So I like the Falcons -2.5.
Falcons Commanders, we're just not going to see eye to eye on. I would like to see it for more than 1 week from Desmond Ridder. I feel like I fade the Falcons every week, so we're just not going to. I picked the Commanders. I was considering that one as well.
And then the Patriots, like I said, I'm willing to buy low on a Patriots team that has some extremely bad and embarrassing losses. But when I put them on paper against the Raiders, they're more talented of a group. They're one of the 3 teams in the league. They're more talented than, but they are more talented as a group. Raiders coming off of that pack.
You think the Patriots are more talented than the Raiders? I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't think they have anybody as good as Devontae. But after that, I think that
or Max Crosby.
Or Max Crosby. I do think you worry about Devontae Adams' takeover game. You always do. But if there's anything Belichick has been good over the course of its career, it's taking away the one, right? It's 1 double 17. It's the ability to neutralize what you do well and force you to play outside of form. And the Raiders right now are so no offense in the league is more polarized, more funneled. They throw to Devontae, Jacoby, and they hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs. They don't do anything else. And I feel like that simple of an offensive approach is something that Belichick's going to be able to get his teeth into. And so Patriots plus 2.5 for me.
I did pick the Patriots. I can't get there to make them one of my picks of the week. I think they just could be like the worst team in the NFL. But I'm going Rams -7 versus the Cardinals.
Oh, wow. Sheil in fade Cardinals mode. Your boy Drew Petzing.
At first I looked at it and I said, ooh, that's kind of a big number, -7. You mentioned earlier the Cardinals defense. You were like, it's okay. I kind of think they stink. They're 30th in DVOA. Opponents are completing 72% of their passes against Arizona. I don't love the scheme or the coordinators. I just think the Rams are going to be able to put up a lot of yards, a lot of points on that defense. So I've got Rams in a decisive victory over the Cardinals -7.
We welcome in a guy who needs no introduction. He is one of the bright stars at the Ringer. He's the fantasy football extraordinaire. He was busting a couple of moves at my wedding on the dance floor. Let's welcome in Danny Heifetz. Welcome to Ringer Wise Guys, buddy.
Thank you for having me, JJ.
Hopefully a whole lot of goodies coming our way. Looking for winners on a low standard with our guests. So, because they have not exactly thrived as far as the picks go. Wonderful individuals. Their picks, my sisters included, leaves a lot to be desired. So we are going to open the floor to you. We're setting the bar really low. Have that you like to guys?
Well, I appreciate the low bar because, Raheem's out here talking about smart money flowing in on the Seattle Seahawks. So I would like to represent on behalf of dumb money. I would like to give you guys the Bengals giving 2.5 at home.
Going against the grain here. Sal not happy about this.
Well, it's showing 3. We got to go by the graphic, right? Sorry, Danny. I mean, it's 3.5. I'm hearing 3.5. Do I hear 4? This is a weird. Yeah, tough one. Let Raheem handle it, but really, it's unfair to make. We're on.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I think House has the best read. Obviously 2.5, the Bengals are major, but it feels like they're between Bengals -2.5 and Seahawks plus 3.5. So if you got the best of the number, you're in a good position. But House has the best football read on this game.
Danny, we're friends. We've broken bread together in Washington. I don't understand what you've seen out of the Cincinnati defense that makes you think that they can stop a top 10 offense, DVOA, both rushing and passing. First A dot in the league in dot, the Cincinnati Bengals defense. What are you seeing on the defensive side?
It has nothing to do with the offense. I feel like I think you guys said the Bengals are banged up. Last time we saw the Seahawks play, the Seahawks were down both tackles and start guards, and this line I'm going crazy. Charles Cross, the left tackle's back. He's got a toe injury. Seahawks right tackle is on injured reserve, Abe Lucas. They got their 2 guards. You got Phil Haynes, you got Damian Lewis. One's questionable, one's doubtful. I'm like, there's a chance the Seahawks are down 3 linemen today, and I get more than a field goal at home. That's number one. I get the Bengals defense has not been good, but the strength of the defense is still the defensive ends, and the line is this part of this Bengals defense I have the most faith in. And the Seahawks playing the Giants, the lowly Giants, the Seahawks couldn't move the ball. The Seahawks one good with it. Other defense beat the Giants. The Seahawks couldn't move the ball. I get the one quibble I have here with Sal. So over Joe Bengals because the Rams are against the Giants and the Panthers. So I don't know. I look at this and Burrow, like to answer your question, House, what I saw was Joe Burrow's healthy. Like that changes everything for me. I think that this line at its core is reflective of unevenness over, are the Bengals like, is Joe Burrow still Roethlisberger sitting back there? I'm like, I think Joe Burrow's back. And if I can get more than a field goal at home against a banged up line, I'll take it.
Okay.
I actually have a question for you.
Let's hear this.
Sorry, JJ. One of the things that we've noticed this season is that outside of the Giants, cluster injuries to the offensive line haven't mattered that much. You look at CJ Stroud in the Houston Texans. They've had their entire offensive line in the hospital. Not throwing interceptions. He's getting the ball out. So do you think the Seahawks offense is going to be able to perform? I look at that total at 45.5. And me personally, I kind of leaned over and felt like this was a game where both offenses could get off, but obviously there was some weather issues. So how do you feel about that in terms of the Seahawks offense?
I think it's a fair question. I think that's in aggregate. I hear what you're saying about offensive line cluster injuries, but I think it's also about the reason the Texans aren't giving up that much pressure despite the line is that Bobby Slovic, their offensive coordinator, is just doing a really good job being creative about getting, the Dolphins are using their motions to get Tyreek Hill open. The Texans are using motions to get their fullback running into defensive ends at full speed. So there's a creativity element that I don't think Seattle fans would necessarily be upset if I said Seahawks, they're not always the most creative on offense, protecting the quarterback.
Jay, will you at least care what Danny has to say to turn for the full segment? Come on, it's so different.
Hold on a second now. I'm very, very multifaceted. I am trying to keep our audience and you guys especially informed and in tune in what's going on with the London game. So I'm trying to keep tabs on my Ravens minus 5.5 bet as we sit here. But Heifetz, I heard every word you said, and I have a question for you and a caveat. Would you invest in the Cincinnati Bengals, who are getting a very juicy number right now, win AFC North? We know Cincinnati has not been at their best, but like this week, number not going to be juicy, going to be as good. Is that something to think about?
Bengals North Bengals win the Super Bowl only because, first of all, I know Joe Burrow missed all this time. I know Joe Burrow's in the preseason. First year was like 2020 COVID. An emergency, like never played in August. And then the Bengals started 0-2. He's basically Joe Burrow 0-2 is these Bengals teams. So like they've always started slow. He's never gotten these early season reps. If they come back, they have a shootout with Seattle. I hear you on the over. I'm fine with that. But if the Bengals do win a shootout with the Seahawks this year, I feel like we're totally going to slingshot back on Cincinnati and all these numbers. So I think that's a great call, JJ. Okay,
Danny, you have another play for us. Mixed bag right now on the Bengal pick. Are we getting teasy?
Look, gentlemen, I grew up in a 3-team teaser household. I know that's a little old school, but it's the way that I was raised. And I call this morning, and he's from Queens, and he says, Danny, there's so many games. Bets we're going to win money today. And guys, I don't know, father, probably don't. That means we're going to lose money today. However, I little investigation here. I'm looking at all these 3-team teasers, and I see the Eagles. We can move all these by 10. The Eagles getting 3.5 points over the Jets. We can get the Dolphins giving 4.5 to the Panthers. Bills giving 5.5 to the Giants. And I ask you, please, wise guys, who's going to screw this up? And who's going to bring shame upon the Heifetz family?
Ooh, that is a great question. Heifetz, I think I have an answer for us because you're going against your beloved New York Giants. I have no other justification than that. So I think as someone who is a diehard New York Giant fan to be taking sides against the here, would it be perfectly on brand for Heifetz tease?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because he gets 8 hours of glee, right? And then has to sit through that Sunday night game that should have been flexed the minute Daniel Jones was signed by the Giants, not the minute he was announced that he was going to be not playing the game. But I do think that might be the tough one, Danny. I feel bad for your dad because he's going to, like I said, he's going to have a nice 1 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., but then might get weird on a late cover by the Giants and Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I agree. This is the most public tease you can imagine. And we said at the very beginning of the show, be careful this week because the public has been rocking and rolling thus far this season. Tickets that where the public is 51% on one side have been tremendous against the spread. A correction is a coming. It could be this week. And the basic, rule of thumb here is never 3-team tees, never go through the 0. You violated both of those rules. I understand your pops from Queens. I love Papa Heifetz. Just be careful. Hopefully he's got a nice glass of vino for the Sunday night to help this thing wash down.
Dream, who screws it up?
I mean, you said Buffalo. I agree with Buffalo, but quietly, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami screwed it up. See, I really hate this teaser. I'm sorry, Danny. I appreciate your analysis, but I am the teaser police over here with the Ringer Wise guys. I believe when you tease, you're supposed to be crossing off key numbers. You're not crossing off any key numbers there. I mean, look, if the Bills were to win this game by 3 coming back from London, would that be a surprise? If the Dolphins were to win this game by 3 with the Eagles on a look-ahead line, that wouldn't be a surprise. So you're not really getting the value that you should be getting. You're laying 143. And once you lay in 143, you have to win that teaser 59% of the time. And you're just putting yourself in a bad spot, not really getting too much value. So I think anybody could screw this up except for the Eagles.
Heifetz, we know fantasy football is near and dear to your heart. So since you were joining the Ringer Wise guys, we all have our fantasy teams. We all have some questions. We all need some advice. We give advice. You give us advice. Garrett Wilson, the New York Jets star receiver that hasn't been as good without a real quarterback. He's got Zach Wilson back under center going up against the Eagles today. Must play or must sit?
I mean, look, Garrett Wilson in real life, the player you watch, it's, he's almost like a young Odell Beckham. And in fantasy football, he might as well be like the Falcons running back Tyler Algier. It's like, you look back, you're like, oh, I hope he scores a touchdown. Because if not, he's going to have like 5 points for you. I mean, Garrett Wilson, I think the most underrated thing about fantasy, you can get lost in numbers and expect a target share, but there's also an unofficial stat that we need to name, which is how stupid will I feel if this player gets 3 points? And let me tell you, I just feel like if Zach Wilson is unable to surpass 100 passing yards against this Eagles defense and you played Garrett Wilson in your lineup, going to be hard to fall asleep at night. So always dependent on your options. I would probably lean towards sitting Garrett Wilson this week.
Okay, we have a second one for you, and it's near and dear to my heart because it's against the team that I root for. Chuba Hubbard going up against the Miami Dolphins. A lot of burn, a lot of touches. What do we think, Heifetz?
When you're at the airport, the house would know better than anyone. You're at the airport, and there's like those sandwiches in the plastic wrap. It's not like what you want, but if you're hungry, it's not going to kill you. That's Chuba Hubbard. I mean, he's going to get 15 touches. Miles Sanders is out for Carolina this week. I mean, there's no other running backs in the team that have touched the ball. So, yeah, he'll get 15 touches. You won't kill you. It's not going to be like the most memorable meal of your life, right, House?
Definitely not. But you do want him to get those touches if you think that 14.5 number is, potentially in danger. Chuba's fine.
I'm just throwing this out there. I'm going to be sweating out this Raven bet because
I told you this is. I told Raheem this is exactly what's going to happen.
But at least it's 11 now. It's
Sal got a copy of the script, and no one realized it.
Here comes
That's your
Henry
Hollywood background
touchdown,
coming in.
Down by 5, 2-point conversion attempt. We're all.
And I'm going to be.
I see what Raheem's saying. All these flights going to London. I can imagine JJ's getting Charlie horse after a 1-hour drive. I can only imagine what happens on a 6-hour flight.
Not great, bro. It's not great. Sal, apparently we have one more start sit for Danny.
Well, I want to bring this up to Danny because, I think I'm playing with my heart here. I have Dak Prescott. I have CJ Stroud on the team. And I think Dak is expected to score more than Stroud this week, although that CBS guru is a scumbag, and whoever he is or she is, and has misled me for 3 decades now. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, at fantasyfootball.theringer.com, shameless plug, we got our rankings there. We have Stroud and Dak next to each other, which a little peek behind the curtain, that means we have no idea. But I will say, like, Stroud's got 50% more points than Dak this year. I don't know, Sal. I mean, you're the Cowboys fan. I think what's odd is Dallas hasn't played a real game yet. I don't think Dallas has a single snap in the second half of a game within 7 points, which feels impossible this far into the season. So I think that this Chargers game, I feel like the way the Chargers defense, I think almost half of the drives the Chargers defense this season have reached the red zone, which also feels impossible. But then the Cowboys red zone offense is bottom 3 in the league. So you kind of got the, very movable force versus the very stoppable object. I don't really know what we got going on there. So I think that I think there's two things going on. I would go with Dak over Stroud if you actually have faith, having watched this Cowboys team, that this will be the most competitive second half game of their season, which I think it will be. Mm-hmm. Stroud has obviously been good. Ironically, Stroud is very similar to Prescott in the way he plays. My other question for you, Sal, is how do you feel about having your Cowboys in your lineup in a game? Because I think there is an emotional toll it takes. Some people don't want their own players. Some people can't root for their opponents. How do you feel? Would you rather have like an A.J. Brown or a Dak?
I kind of, I'm all in on him. So if I'm going to be pissed off at a bad Cowboys performance, which is, basically led by Dak Prescott, I'm going to be mad the whole rest of the nights. I'm going to be mad at my fantasy team. I'm going to be mad at my bets and everything else. That said, I think the Chargers secondary is a get right squad, because I feel like Tannehill, who we're watching play miserably again, he put up good numbers against the Chargers, I believe, and Dak could do it. It's 31st in the league, as I mentioned, and I do think it's going to be a one-score game until the end, and a typical Staley screw up to end it.
I love that. Don't diversify your emotions. Just put all your hatred in one basket. So
exactly.
Play Dak.
No barriers.
Danny Heifetz, welcome to Ringer Wise Guys. Don't be a stranger. If you ever want to pop in, you got a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon where you're feeling frisky, come say hello.
Thank you for having me, guys. Raheem, I'm going to have you explain the 59% math to my dad. Thank you, guys.
It's all good.
That's our buddy Danny Heifetz. Before we say goodbye, guys, we're going to have some YouTube comments from our wonderful, wonderful friends in the audience that want to chime in, that want to be a part of Ringer Wise Guys, that want to mock the side of my head, whatever the case may be. Let's hit a couple of these, Jack. This first one comes from D-Trip. 3-leg teaser, Eagles, Raiders, Niners. Also likes Raheem's Baltimore pick. I mean, talk about mushing the pick. Can the game win first before we're giving credit to the pick? Dream, what do we think about that teaser? Eagles, Raiders, and Niners.
Raiders? Oh, no. Look, y'all got to stop teasing through the zero.
He hates teasers.
He especially hates to tease through the zero. That's going to drive Raheem to drink.
Don't tease through the zero. I hate that one. And honestly, I'm scared to death of the 49ers. I know it's crazy, but I mean, they're in a bad spot coming off that big win against the Dallas Cowboys. And I know, Philip Walker is out there. I'm not calling him PJ. He's Philip Walker.
Oh.
To me, this is a game where you got inclement weather. You got a low total. If the Browns don't turn the ball over, I think they're live to keep this game close. And we've never seen Brock Purdy in inclement weather. We're used to seeing him out there in San Francisco in the Bay Area where it's nice and warm. But now you got rain, you got wind, you got a top-tier defense in the Cleveland Browns. There's no way I would be teasing the 49ers at this point.
The next one, Sal, this is just for you.
Yeah.
Will Dak go over his interception over-under tomorrow?
Danny, what is his over under the interception total? 3.5? No, it's a half. 0.5. So what? You're getting juice on it has to be a plus number, right? To not have an interception. I'll turn it over to Danny because this just disgusts me way too much. I know he has to have under 10 to be true to his word.
So is that over under half an interception per drive, or is that for just
man,
what a jerk! What a jerk! You and Tate Frazier, two jerks.
Our final YouTube question: Browns, ATS, and the under. House, we in on it?
Yeah, that's the play. If you're going to play that game at all, for me, it's a stay away. But Dream is so on point with his analysis. You're not laying any of that crazy 9.5 or whatever, even with Philip Walker touching the ball on every Cleveland snap. That's a yuck sandwich. I think the weather might be a yuck sandwich. So the way to play that thing, the under and against the spread. But honestly, my recommendation would be to stay away. Go make yourself a nice bowl of whatever that chowder is from San Francisco. Or I don't know what the specialty is in Cleveland. What's the specialty in Cleveland, Danny?
Oh man, got to be chili, right?
That's Cincinnati. It's
Cincinnati, but you bring it down to Cleveland. Or bring it up. I don't even know the geography.
I'm betting on Cincinnati. I'm on Cincinnati today.
Yeah, he's on Cincinnati. That makes sense.
So he's got that Skyline chili on his mind. I can understand that. Well, Heifetz, again, I threw a goodbye to you, and it just goes to show you how clueless I can be when I'm trying to multitask watching London football and have a conversation at the same time because you're still a part of our digital time. So I get to thank you once again. Thanks for being a part of Ringer Wise, guys. And the invitation is open, just like if you want to come watch football here, which, by the way, is always worth the price of admission.
It was open
Based.
3 minutes ago when he said goodbye, and now it's still open. Wow, he's really sticking to this, Danny.
Yeah, we can get over under 1.5 JG goodbyes next time.
I like that. I like that. Well, for all of us here with the Ringer Wise guys, Raheem Palmer, Sal, Joe House, John Jastremski, we're signing off. As you can see, Danny Heifetz is still here. I'm not going to do it again. We'll be back next week. FanDuel TV at 11, our digital time right after. Great job by Jack and the whole crew over at the controls, making sure we look and sound as good as humanly possible. Let's cash those tickets. Enjoy your football Sunday. Be good, everybody.